Maria clutched her phone tighter, the screen illuminating her face with a frail glow as she navigated the deserted highway. A flat tire had stranded her miles from the nearest town, the only company the endless stretch of asphalt and the vast emptiness of the Nevada sky. Suddenly, a streak of light blazed across the horizon, splitting the darkness. Maria pulled over, her heart pounding against her ribs. It wasn't a shooting star, it was a craft, sleek and metallic, unlike anything she'd ever seen. It descended with an unnatural silence, landing softly in the distance. Curiosity warring with trepidation, Maria grabbed her flashlight and stepped out of her car. Every rustle of the desert wind sounded amplified in the quiet night. As she approached the craft, a metallic hatch hissed open, revealing a figure bathed in an eerie blue light. Tall and slender, it looked vaguely human, yet utterly alien. Its skin shimmered like polished silver, its face devoid of any features except two large black eyes that seemed to absorb all light. A low hum emanated from the figure, a sound that sent shivers down Maria's spine. Before she could even think of running, the figure gestured with one hand. A beam of light, cold and blue, shot out, striking Maria's flashlight. It melted in her hand, the plastic dripping like molten wax. Terror flooded her, a primal scream caught in her throat. The figure tilted its head, its eyes seeming to study her. Then, with another gesture, the blue light enveloped Maria. A wave of nausea washed over her, the world dissolving into a kaleidoscope of colors and sounds. When it stopped, she found herself inside the craft, a sterile metal room with pulsating lights. Panic clawed at her throat. She stumbled back, her gaze falling on others, a trucker, a young couple on a road trip, all gathered in the room, their faces reflecting the same raw terror that gripped her. The alien figure stood at the center, its metallic hand resting on a strange device. It began to emit a low hum, growing louder with each passing second. A sickening realization dawned on Maria. This wasn't a visit, it was a harvest. As the hum reached a deafening crescendo, the blue light pulsed again. This time, it wasn't contained to a beam. It flooded the room, bathing everything in its harsh glow. A collective scream ripped through the air, a desperate plea for mercy that seemed to echo through the cold metal walls. But there was no mercy. The blue light intensified, and Maria felt a searing pain erupt in her chest. A horrifying gurgling sound rose in her throat as she gasped for air, her vision blurring around the edges. The others, too, writhed on the floor, their bodies convulsing in an unnaturally silent scream. Then, as suddenly as it began, the light stopped. The hum died down, replaced by an eerie silence. The room was bathed in a dim red glow, revealing a horrifying scene. The once vibrant faces of the captured humans were now pale and vacant, their bodies drained of all life, husks discarded like empty shells. The alien figure stood amidst the dead, its head tilted in what seemed like satisfaction. Then, with a mechanical whirring, the hatch opened. The figure turned, its black eyes locking with Maria's for a chilling moment before it stepped back into the night. The craft lifted off without a sound, disappearing into the vast expanse of the sky. Maria slumped against the cold metal wall, the only survivor in a graveyard of the curious and unfortunate. The highway stretched endlessly before her, a stark reminder of her isolation under the vast, indifferent sky. Now, forever marked by the horror she had witnessed, Maria knew the truth. The stars weren't just pinpricks of light. They held something far more sinister, a terrifying hunger that stalked the darkness, waiting for its next unwitting prey. The annual stargazing festival was always a highlight in Ridgewood. A night of telescopes, blankets, and hot cocoa under a sky ablaze with stars. But tonight something felt different. An unsettling chill hung in the air, prickling Max's skin despite his thick jacket. As he scanned the Milky Way through his grandfather's old telescope, a flicker of light caught his eye. Not a twinkling star, but a movement, sharp and erratic. Zooming in, Max's breath hitched. It wasn't a satellite, it was a craft, sleek and metallic, unlike anything he'd ever seen. A wave of awe washed over him, quickly replaced by a cold dread. The craft dipped towards the festival grounds, its descent silent and ominous. Panic erupted as people pointed to the strange visitor, murmuring theories about spaceships and government cover-ups. Max watched in horror as the craft hovered directly above the stage where a local band was playing. A blinding light erupted from its underbelly, bathing the area in an unnatural blue glow. Then, screams, blood-curdling shrieks that ripped through the festive atmosphere, turning it into a scene of chaos. Max dropped the telescope, his stomach churning. People were running, trampling each other in a desperate bid to escape. But escape from what? He scrambled to his feet, a primal fear urging him to run too. Then he saw it, a figure emerging from the blue light, tall and slender with skin like polished obsidian. Its eyes, two glowing red orbs, scanned the crowd with a predatory gleam. In its hand, a metallic device hummed, crackling with an energy Max couldn't define. One by one, the fleeing figures were struck by the beam from the device. A horrifying sound like sizzling meat filled the air as their bodies dissolved into wisps of gray smoke that drifted skyward. Max froze, his mind struggling to grasp the horrifying reality. Aliens here on Earth not for peaceful contact, but for annihilation. He watched as the horrifying creature moved with inhuman speed, its metallic hand snatching a woman from the crowd, her scream cut short as she too vanished into smoke. Driven by a sudden burst of adrenaline, Max sprinted towards the woods behind the festival grounds. He crashed through bushes, thorns ripping at his clothes. Every rustle of leaves, every snap of a twig sent shivers down his spine. He emerged into a clearing, gasping for breath. Behind him, the screams had died down, replaced by an eerie silence. The monstrous creatures, their work seemingly done, were climbing back into their spacecraft. As the ship ascended, bathing the clearing in its blue light for one last horrifying moment, Max caught a glimpse of the ground. It was littered with what used to be people, empty clothes, and smoldering piles of ash, a chilling testament to the aliens' cruelty. Max sank to his knees, tears streaming down his face. The stargazing festival, once a night of wonder, was now a scene of death and destruction. He was the only one left,